In the blistering heat of the New Mexico desert, where the land stretches for miles and the silence can swallow a scream whole, there was a man living a life so ordinary, so forgettable, that no one ever suspected the nightmare he was building piece by piece. A mechanic, a neighbor, a veteran, someone who waved to people at the gas station and repaired government trucks for a living. But behind the closed doors of a dusty trailer near Elephant Butte Lake, this quiet man constructed something the world had never seen before. A chamber of horrors so methodical, so calculated, that even seasoned investigators later said it changed the way they understood evil. And the most terrifying part? No one knows how many victims entered and never came out. This is the story of David Parker Ray, the man the FBI believes may have been one of the most prolific, hidden predators in American history. In the heart of New Mexico sits a small, sun-bleached town with an unforgettable name: Truth or Consequences. Life there is slow, quiet, and simple. The kind of town where neighbors wave from their porches, where people know each other by name, and where you wouldn't imagine anything truly sinister could ever happen. But it was here, beneath that stillness, that one of America's darkest stories took form. David Parker Ray was born on November 6, 1939, in the modest town of Belen, New Mexico. His childhood was marked by instability, shuffling between a strict father and an alcoholic grandfather whose idea of discipline bordered on cruelty. The boy grew up shy and introverted, burying his disturbing thoughts deep inside. His teachers described him as quiet. Classmates said he was awkward, withdrawn. But behind his silence, a secret world was forming, one filled with fantasies he didn't dare share. When he reached adulthood, nothing about Ray seemed unusual. In fact, he blended in perfectly. He joined the military. He worked a series of jobs. Later, he became a trusted mechanic for the State Park Service near Elephant Butte Lake, known for fixing vehicles with skill and precision. To everyone else, he was polite, dependable, a man who minded his own business. But the truth was far darker. Ray used those mechanical skills to build what would later be called the Toy Box, a soundproof modified semi-trailer hidden on his property. Inside, he designed and constructed tools, mechanisms, and restraints with chilling attention to detail. Every corner of the trailer reflected years of planning and fantasies he had been cultivating since childhood. For decades, Ray managed to live a double life that no one suspected. He chose victims carefully, women who were vulnerable, overlooked, or unlikely to be reported missing. He used isolated desert roads, manipulation, intimidation, and psychological control to keep them silent. Had it not been for one woman, he might have continued indefinitely. That woman was 22-year-old Cynthia Vigil. On March 22, 1999, Cynthia was abducted and taken to Ray's property. Inside the trailer, she endured hours of fear, confusion, and unimaginable distress. She remembered one thing with absolute clarity: Ray was prepared. He had done this before. He knew exactly what to say, what to do, and how to keep control. The trailer wasn't chaos. It was a fully organized environment built for one purpose. But Cynthia refused to give up. When Ray stepped away, she waited. When his girlfriend, Cindy Hendy, argued with him and dropped her guard, that moment, just a heartbeat of distraction, became Cynthia's only chance. She freed herself, broke loose from her restraints, and fled barefoot into the desert streets, half-naked, bruised, and terrified. Every step she took was a race for survival. Finally, she found a nearby home where she begged for help. Her escape changed everything. When police raided Ray's property, they expected a single kidnapping case. What they found instead left even the most hardened investigators shaken. Inside the toy box were carefully labeled tools, diagrams, custom-made devices, journals spanning decades, and a disturbing audio tape Ray forced victims to listen to.
Hello there, bitch. Are you comfortable right now? I doubt it. Wrists and ankles chained, gagged, probably blindfolded. You are disoriented and scared too, I would imagine. Perfectly normal under the circumstances. For a little while, at least, you need to get your shit together and listen to this tape. It is very relevant to your situation. I'm going to tell you, in detail, why you have been kidnapped, what's going to happen to you, how long you'll be here. I'm sure that you've already tried to get your wrists and ankles loose. No, you can't. Now you're just waiting to see what's going to happen next. You probably think you're going to be, and you're right about that. Our primary interest is in what you've got between your legs.
Everything about the trailer suggested something deeply disturbing. This had been going on for a very long time. As Cynthia's story made its way into the news, other women began to come forward. Some had been too afraid to report their experiences. Others had fragmented memories. Trauma mixed with drugs Ray reportedly used made recall difficult. But their stories were eerily similar, pointing to a hidden pattern that stretched far into the past. The case grew more complicated when investigators discovered Ray wasn't working alone. His girlfriend, Cindy Hendy, admitted to helping him lure and control victims. Shockingly, even his daughter, Glenda Jessie Ray, was implicated in bringing victims to the property under false pretenses. Still, despite Ray's suspected long-term pattern of crimes, detectives struggled. Without bodies or physical evidence linking him to murders, most charges focused on kidnapping and assault. The desert around Elephant Butte was vast, stretching for miles with caves, canyons, and abandoned mine shafts, a landscape where evidence could disappear forever. To ensure Ray would never walk free again, prosecutors crafted a strategic plan. In 2001, he accepted a plea deal and was sentenced to 224 years in prison.
Day in March 22nd, 1999, a woman kidnapped and held as a sex slave managed to escape. She was discovered naked by neighbors before getting help from police. Her captor, David Parker Ray, was arrested. Police searched his home and found a trailer next to it. It was a torture chamber Ray called his toy box, filled with handcuffs, chains, knives, and surgical items. He was convicted of kidnapping and sexual assault in 2001. Investigators say Ray bragged there were more victims and agreed to tell police, but he backed out of the deal and died in prison in 2002, just months into his 223-year sentence.
A number deliberately chosen to make release impossible. But Ray would never serve that sentence. On May 28, 2002, just 1 year after being imprisoned, he died of a heart attack. Some said it robbed investigators of the truth. Others believed it was the closest thing to justice for those who still lived with unanswered questions. Questions that remain unanswered even today. How many victims were there? Why were no bodies ever found? And how did he hide his secret so well for so long? The FBI believes the number of victims may be far higher than officially documented, possibly into the dozens. But without remains, the full story may never be known. Today, the trailer known as the Toy Box has been dismantled and removed. But the psychological impact of the case echoes across New Mexico. Cynthia Vigil's courage not only ended Ray's reign of terror, it started a vital conversation about believing survivors, investigating missing person cases thoroughly, and recognizing the complexity of trauma that keeps victims silent. And it serves as a chilling reminder that even the quietest towns can hide the darkest shadows. And even the most ordinary man can conceal the most extraordinary evil.